following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
I think it's unique compared to any other sport.
As I always said, leadership is a team sport, and we agree team.
Pressure still on Wales. The ball being kept in play by Gray.
First legally deaf National Hockey League player.
And now I'd like to introduce the chair of the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Dave Best.
Thanks, Dean. Nice crowd this year. Thanks very much for coming out. I was away the last 3 weeks or so, and it was interesting. Some of our organizers said we organized an event for 420 in a room that held 360, but we seem to fit you all in here, so it's going well. Thank you very much for coming. Welcome to our 51st annual Hall of Fame induction dinner. It's been going great for 50 years. I think it's going to go great for one more as well. Big thanks, first of all, to our sponsors. The City of Ottawa, Mayor Watson, thank you very much for yet again supporting the Hall with a physical location. That's great. Thank you very much for that. Mike Birch and everybody at Welsh, I think it's their 51st year. You've been here. Where are you, Mike? Thank you very much for coming again. That's fantastic. Some new partners. We got Trinity Group, which sponsors our stage tonight and our keynote. That's great. Hard Rock Cafe, and I guess it's Rito Carlton Hard Rock Cafe, our wine sponsor and toast sponsor and everything. Thank you very much. My new favorite beer is from the Big Rock Brewery. Big Rig Brewery, that is, because they're giving the beer tonight. Thank you very much. That was Big Rig Brewery, just to make sure everyone got that. Big Rig. There we go. Yet again, our biggest sport franchises in town, the Senators and OSAG with 3 teams there. Thank you very much for supporting the Hall. Some new partners as well, Tamarack, Star Motors, TSN 1200 has been on before, Team Perform, all the folks at Rogers. You'll see the TV back here. They'll be on board. They'll be watching you, so be nice to them. And, of course, wearing my Algonquin College hat, I have to say, a sponsor again. Thank you very much, Algonquin College. If you see the people wearing tonight dark green golf shirts that say Algonquin on it, Algonquin College, they're looking for jobs, okay? They have resumes. They'll hand them out tonight. Thank you very much. We do get asked a lot about what the Hall does. Simply what the Hall does is we try to celebrate sport heritage from Ottawa. What has Ottawa done that's worthy of celebration? We do that in many ways. One way we do that is having an induction dinner for honored inductees coming on board. Another way is we have a physical Hall of Fame at City Hall. Ottawa City Hall in the basement there underneath the Mayor's office houses the Sport Hall of Fame, which is great. If you have an opportunity, we'd love you to go there. Also, next year, we've always got plans. How can we get to the communities? We'd love to use satellites. We'd love to get out there more. So the sponsors that are here, sponsor tables, we want to get our information, our knowledge, our history from Ottawa sporting heritage out to the community. So we're going to you to ask for support. So there's a package coming to you very soon. We're also going to, in the next year, announce a new creation, a new category. We want a veterans, a legacy category, people that were involved in sport many, many years ago that might not be recognized as much today. We want to give them a special category on their own. So a person who snowshoed, that's a whistle mark to be quiet. A snowshoe 1924 world champion. How can they compete against, Jim Kyte? Not that Jim wouldn't have got in tonight anyway. You would have, Jim, don't worry. That's good. Those are the moments we want to celebrate. We're also a volunteer board. We do no staff. Two staff that worked incredibly hard tonight, though, are Sue Cavanaugh from Pearl. Sue, thank you very much, Sue. And Mike Flanagan as well, organizing the event tonight. Thanks, Mike. But it's for our new members that were here tonight. Our new members, new inductees coming on board, we want to say thank you. Thank you for making Ottawa proud, your sport proud, your community proud. They are, as you know, Jeff Avery, who to us is Jeff is the perfect hybrid candidate. After a stellar football career as an athlete, obviously, he turned over to media, as you know, and now he's the voice of football in Ottawa. Jeff, thank you very much and congratulations. Betty Shields. How many people here in the room have helped out their kids as a volunteer in whatever minor sport? Really, show your hands. How many have helped out? Almost everyone here. Betty did that as a timekeeper, and then she moved on to become the next level, international president of Ringette. Betty, congratulations. Thank you very much. Well earned. Jim Kyte was known as Kiter in his playing days, and I understand he had the odd fight here and there and all that. He's known as Dean Kyte these days because he's a dean at Algonquin College. No connection with the choice for sure there. But before that, Jim was he's a first-round pick in the CJHL, whatever it was called then, the OHL, then the NHL, where he played for 13 years. And Jim asked me just the other week, so those of you who know Jim, you'll see his picture up here. He said, you know, Dave, I'm from Ottawa, and somebody asked me, do you think I should have the Ottawa Senators logo on? I go, well, Jim, you played 4, 5, 10 games, whatever it was for Ottawa. No, you played 10 years in Winnipeg. That's what people know you as in hockey. You're going up with Winnipeg. So, Jim, congratulations. Steve Gray. Steve Gray played 47 times for Canada. 47 times. In a sport that might not be that well known, rugby, more well known now, nor played that often internationally. Played 47 times. Steve, congratulations. He started at Canterbury High School, went to the Ottawa Beavers Rugby Club, went to the Ottawa Irish Rugby Club. And Steve, I hate to say it, there's a table out here that thinks if you had played for Bytown, you'd have more caps than Al Chiron has right now. But that's beside the point. That's beside the point. There you go. And finally, we've got our sport mayor, Jim Durrell. Jim. In case you don't know who he is, let me tell you. He's Jim's been around for many years. Jim, congratulations, and we want you still involved in sport. Don't think this is a congratulations and you're going away. We're going to call on your support again. Thank you very much. Two other things I want to recognize right before I end. We want to recognize our members, our Hall of Fame members, do some incredibly important and noteworthy achievements on their own after they retired afterwards. The other year, I think we mentioned last year, Sue Holloway got inducted in Canada's Sport Hall of Fame. Sue here yet? She will be soon. Sue Holloway. But this year, if you look at the banner at the far end, now Al Chiron does not like the picture, but forget that. Al Chiron, from Ottawa, high school in Ottawa, played for Canada, inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame this past year. Al, congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming, and inductees, congratulations. Well done.
I'd now like to call up our mayor to bring good tidings from the City of Ottawa. Here's the very athletic Jim Watson.
Great. Thank you very much, Dean. Merci beaucoup, Dean. Be very brief. Jim Durrell's the chair of Hydro. We got Bryce over here. I move that Hydro sponsor air conditioning in this building next year. Everyone in favor of that? Thank you very much, Hydro Ottawa. Let me just begin thanking very much Dave Best. He's a volunteer along with the rest of the board of directors. They really keep the Sports Hall of Fame alive and together. Let's hear a big round of applause for these great volunteers from the board of directors. Mike Flanagan, past chair. Thank you, Mike, for your organization. And we have Russ Jackson right here, ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker. Welcome back to Ottawa, Russ. To all of the inductees tonight and their families and friends, thank you very, very much for inspiring generation after generation of young athlete in our city. You're an example to behold. We thank you in many instances. The folks have moved away from Ottawa and they've come back here, and we've had a chance to honor these great athletes and these great builders. And a special word to one of the best mayors in the last 50 years, Jim Durrell. Thank you, Jim, for your great leadership on so many different fronts. So have a great evening. Dean, thank you for hosting. I see you got this from a bordello or something, this beautiful display. And to all of the volunteers from Algonquin College, a lot of them in the sport management program, they're here volunteering. Get a chance to speak to some of these great people. They want to work in the sports industry. Encore merci beaucoup à tous les bénévoles. Have a great supper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Worship. One little piece of housekeeping. On every table there is an envelope. If you want, just stuff some money in there. We're going to play a little 50-50 game later on in the evening. Heads and tails, or heads or tails. I have to be briefed on this. I'm not entirely certain how it works, but by the time we do it, I will have been fully briefed. But apparently it involves money in an envelope on your table, and so you put money in, and somehow it'll work out. I'll find out. Before we get to dinner, I want to call up from Rideau Carleton Raceway and Casino, Sandy Horner, to give us our toast of the evening before dinner. Come on up, Sandy.
Hi, everyone. On behalf of the Rideau Carleton Casino, future home of the Hard Rock, it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you and to thank the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame for organizing such a wonderful event. Here's to warm hospitality and good company. Please join me in a toast to the honored 2018 inductees for receiving recognition for their endeavors in Ottawa sports. To Betty Shields, Jeff Avery, Jim Durrell, Jim Kite, and to Steve Gray. Cheers. I'll take the stairs down.
You want to do the locker combination? Sure. All right. Here's how I want you to send it to me. I'm going to get inside your head, and I'm going to pull the thought out. Don't move your eyes. Don't move your lips. I just want you to repeat it in your head, number by number. So it's like 2 digits, 2 digits, 2 digits, 6 digits, or there's, oh, actually, don't give me any hints. Don't give me, oh, you're tough. Here we go, Lisa, look at me and think the first digit of your comment 20 years ago. Okay, here we go. You know, in some cultures, we'd be married right now. I got it. Lisa. You're thinking of one number for the first one, is that right? Yes? What is the first number you're thinking of?
5.
5 people care. You guys act like you see this every day. If you're gonna clap, do it all together. No clapping at all. All right, here we go. Second digit, are you ready? Here we go. Try to do it like you just did it. Like right before, yes. Okay, so when this happens, usually there's a problem, but sometimes. Second digit is 46.
No.
What was it?
55.
Just check in, Lisa. Come on, he's a pro. He's a pro. I'm so drunk. All right, Lisa. Last digit. Are you ready? Actually, does anybody want to try and get the second digit? You don't have to come up. You can just come up right here. I'll teach you. Anybody? Yeah. Randy. Here, front row. Randy, stand up. Here, come. Everybody clap for Randy. I picked the right guy. How are you? Look at Lisa. You guys look at each other. Randy, you count in your head from 1 to 10 3 times, and the number, first digit or second digit. Hold on, I need a little refresher here. Hold on. Woo! All right, good. Oh, what was your last number, Lisa?
7.
Show everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy and Lee, that's impossible! How'd you? Nailed it. Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Lisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to the formal part of the evening now. If you can take your seats. First of all, I'm delighted to introduce a man who changed the sports landscape in Ottawa. A man who needs no introduction and is synonymous with football and sports in Canada, let alone here in Ottawa. Our keynote speaker tonight is Mr. Russ Jackson. For those who didn't know, shame on you, but I'll give you a little update. When Russ Jackson emerged in the CFL scene back in 1958 as a scholar athlete from McMaster University, there were doubts that a Canadian could succeed at the quarterback position. Traditionally, that's a position filled by American players. By 1969, however, all uncertainties had vanished as Jackson displayed an ability and belied his passport, displaying rare confidence, poise, and toughness. He developed into one of the greatest quarterbacks in CFL history. Playing all of his 12 years in an Ottawa uniform, he led the Rough Riders to 3 Grey Cups in 60, 68, and 69 in 4 appearances. 3 times he was given the Shenley Award as the league's outstanding player in 63, 66, and 69, and twice he won the Jeff Russell Memorial Trophy as the top player in the Eastern Division in 1959 and 1969. After coaching for 2 years with the Toronto Argonauts in 75-76, Jackson left the football field. With the mathematics and teaching degrees he earned while climbing the football ranks, he went on to become a respected high school math teacher and a principal. In 2006, Jackson was voted one of the CFL's top 50 players, number 8, in the league's modern era by the Canadian Sports Network TSN, the highest-ranked Canadian-born player on the list.
Three Grey Cups and a stellar 12-year CFL career, all played with the same team, the Ottawa Rough Riders. But that's not all. At the same time, he was teaching math to young Canadians and later became the principal at an innovative Mississauga high school. Now, to his friends, he was easy to get along with, a man of his word. To opponents on the gridiron, he was a competent leader, a fierce competitor, possibly the finest quarterback ever to play in the CFL, and a proud Canadian.
Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, Mr. Russ Jackson.
Thank you very much. I'm really not sure why number 12 didn't show up in that numbers game and so on, so surprised that the combination didn't have that number in it. I would first like to, on behalf of all the inductees in the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, welcome the 5 new members that are going to be inducted shortly to join us. It is a great honor, and certainly I know I appreciated it very much when I was put in the Ottawa Hall. It's great for Lois and I to be back in Ottawa. Brings back a lot of memories a long time ago. When we first came here, I taught my first math class here in an Ottawa high school, Rideau High School. Started my teaching education here and also started my football education in 1958 here for 12 years. And it is always fun for the two of us to return to the city. That's a long, long time ago, and it's surprising when you start thinking of the number of years that have passed by. Lois and I have been married for 57 years, coming up another week. and moved here as a couple in 1961 and stayed here for 14 years. It's interesting how long ago that was, but I was brought to mind, and some of my football colleagues out here will know this, and some of you have heard this story, but I was at a banquet not too long ago, and it was to raise funds for kids at the Children's Hospital in that city. And a group of 10 or 12 of us, the afternoon of the dinner, wandered over to the hospital. And we're wandering around talking to the kids, and we're in a group, and all of a sudden I noticed there was a little guy about 9 or 10 years old over off to one side. So I left the group of athletes and wandered over and chatted with them and told them who I was and a little bit of my history. And I had one of those little bubblegum cards that kids used to collect, and I pulled it out of my pocket and I said, "Would you like this?" And he says, "No, but my grandmother might." So when I talk about feeling a little old and coming here and what's gone in behind us, all you grandmothers that are here tonight, I just want you to know that on August 11th, the Ottawa Rough Riders of 68 and 69, the two Grey Cups back-to-back, are holding a reunion. And you will get a chance to meet Bo Scott and Margene Atkins and Gene Gaines and Joe Poirier. I'm not sure who wants to meet Joe, but anyhow, you people who speak French can meet Joe. But you will meet a lot of the players from back in 68 and 69, have a chance to chat with them and get autographs. So if you haven't got your tickets for that particular game on August 11th, take your little guys who've heard about some of us, and maybe they will enjoy being there and meeting some of the names in person that they hear you talk about all the time. I spent a great many years in education, and I've often said that education was my profession and football was my hobby. And over the years, I was principal at 5 different high schools and sat through probably 35 or 40 commencement programs. And I guess the one thing that struck me all the time when I was sitting on stage watching the students walk across and get their diploma was, I wonder if we have taught them, other than the math and the English and the geography and history, if we really taught them some of the important things that they should have learned while they were a teenager at our school. Things like respect and caring and the benefit of hard work. It bothered me that sometimes I thought maybe we hadn't done a good job. At a Remembrance Day program one year at one of my high schools, the padre stood up and he was trying to talk to the students about the Second World War. And it was difficult because these kids hadn't gone through that, their parents hadn't gone through that. They were in that gap that was there. And he said something that stuck with me, and he says, remembering is bringing into conscious awareness something you already know. Remembering is bringing into conscious awareness something you already know. And if we don't teach these youngsters and teenagers about respect and caring, then they are not going to be able to return to what they have learned. And when they deviate a little bit or fall off the path, they're not going to be able to know what to do and know how to handle it. I have always believed that sport was a great way of teaching these values and mores to kids. And I guess I can say now I'm not so sure that that really is true. I'm not so sure that we are doing the same job we did years ago when I felt sport was teaching us how to respect and care for other people. I believe that we somehow strayed away from that and we got too interested in winning. Winning became the most important thing. And I guess when you're trying to teach and understand that winning is the only important thing, it is very hard to teach the values such as respect and caring. I'm not advocating at all that you shouldn't go out there to win. If I'm playing you tiddlywinks, I want to beat you. That's not what it's all about. You can still win and you can respect other people. I was at a hockey game when a couple of my grandkids were playing a couple of years ago, and it was a championship game between two teams. Fortunately, the team that my grandkids were playing on won. And when they lined up at the blue line to receive their medals, the team that came in second went up and got their medals, went back to the blue line with the rest of their team. One hockey player from that losing team got his medal. He went over and went right down the blue line and shook the hand of every kid that was on the winning team. That's respect. I waited after the game. I waited after the game and spoke to his parents and the kid and complimented them as parents and him as an individual at that age, knowing what it was like. I'm not so sure that if winning is the most important thing that you can teach those values. I think you tend to lose the ability to do that. When I was a kid, and I'm sure lots of you out here, we went and played in the corner lots. We had fun. We enjoyed playing against each other, whether it be baseball or football, or if we were lucky enough to have a frozen rink somewhere in one of the corner lots, hockey. And we appreciated it. We learned what it was like to respect each other. You were on my team one night, and you were playing on the other team the next night. We cared for each other and respected each other. Somehow I think that if we don't have that fun, it's tough to teach the values of respect and caring for other people. I think we must, as parents, grandparents, teachers, always think that it's important to teach that respect and not fall to the values that are somehow creeping into our society. And this isn't always in school. I mean, it's in a lot of other areas. It's in police work. They have to put up with it. Kids don't respect them. Teachers in high schools, we hear the stories that are happening. The video games that are out today, to me, are, and I'll use the word, disgraceful, some of them. Having kids shooting each other and shooting at each other. Why do we need those? How do we teach kids respect if they can go and put on the machine and watch videos such as that? It's important that we continue to try and teach these particular values. I had the privilege late after I quit football of doing a half-hour sports show on CBC every Friday night during the summer season. It was called Replay. And we interviewed 2 athletes over that half hour, 8 minutes with one, commercials, 8 minutes with another, commercials, and a combined effort with the 2. And I had the opportunity to interview athletes such as Jackie Robinson, Bill Russell, Mickey Mantle. That's when CBC had some money and could bring some people in. But every one of those athletes that we talked to, outstanding athletes in the 50s and 60s, had retired, but they respected each other, and when you talked to them, they respected their opponents. The one that I guess I remember the most In fact, we did the last live TV interview with Jackie Robinson before he passed away. But the one I remember the most that epitomized to me what I'm talking about tonight was Jesse Owens. And most of us know the story, and since I had that chance to interview Jesse, the movie has come out. But Jesse told us the story about going to the 1936 Olympics in Germany, where Adolf Hitler was preaching the dominance of the white German race. And Adolf Hitler would not present a gold medal to a black athlete. He refused to do it. And when Jesse won his first gold medal, he was very distraught that Adolf Hitler had presented the gold medals to the white athletes who'd won all the events prior to that, but wouldn't present it to Jesse. Jesse went on and he won gold medals in the 200 and the 4x100 relay. And he had a chance of being the first athlete to win 4 gold medals in one Olympic Games in the long jump. He would have been and could have been and was the first one to try and do this. His biggest opponent was a German athlete by the name of Luz Long, who had been sitting beside Hitler at the Games. And when they were down on the track and they're trying to qualify for the final group in the long jump, Jesse faulted on the first 2 jumps, stepped over the takeoff board. He was so upset and irate at the way the German athlete was being treated. Luz Long walked up to him and told him, "Jesse, we're just trying to qualify. Jump from the takeoff board. Jump behind the takeoff board. You're good enough, you're going to qualify." He went there, and if you saw the movie, Luz Long put a towel down behind the takeoff board. Jesse jumped from there, qualified, and went on to win his 4th gold medal, beating Luz Long. That is respect. That's caring about your fellow athlete in sport. That is truly something that I look at and say, I'm not sure I could have done that. I hope I would have. And I hope you people would. But Luz Long truly understood how much effort had been put in by all the athletes competing in those Olympics, and understood that Jesse was being mistreated and tried to calm him down to have him qualify. To me, that's respect. I would hope that every one of you would leave here tonight and sometime in the next month talk to a grandson, a son, a daughter, granddaughter, a friend who's around your house, and talk about respect as opposed to winning. Try and get them to understand a little bit about respect. That would make me very happy if everybody in this room, 500 plus people, would go home and talk to one person in the next month. And you don't have to stop there. Because I'm always a believer that it's cheaper to build a kid than it is to repair an adult. Let's teach them respect. Let's have them have fun. And sure, they're going to be winners. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the evening. I hope that the 5 new inductees will appreciate and understand exactly what it is happening to them tonight. We are all here to respect them for what they have done in their athletic career. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Russ. Outstanding. One little small piece of business that management has asked me to pass on to you. If you're slipping outside to have a beverage, you have to stay in the area of the Hard Rock Big Rig patio. If you don't, somebody may haul you down. Anyway, let's get to inducting some people. Tonight, the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame is inducting individuals that have changed the face of sport in our great city. In their own unique way, they undertook challenges many thought were not possible. They overcame adversity, and they have assisted in changing the sports landscape and the heritage in our city. We start with the A's. Our first inductee tonight is Jeff Avery. Jeff is at the very heart of CFL football in Ottawa. Inducted into the Football Reporters Hall of Fame as a broadcaster, but he is also a Grey Cup champion with the Ottawa Rough Riders, a CFL East All-Star, and a Vanier Cup winner with the Ottawa GGs. Avery was a wide receiver at the University of Ottawa for 4 seasons, 72 to 75, entering the record books for the 3rd most reception yards in the university season. He had 860 at the time. He was named to the All-Canadian team in 74 and again in 75, leading the GGs to a Vanier Cup. Drafted by the Riders in 76, he played for 7 seasons, during which he won the Grey Cup in 76 and was named the CFL East All-Star in 77 and in 1978. He ended his career with over 2,600 yards and 15 receiving touchdowns. After retiring from the game, he joined the CFRA and now TSN 1200 crew as the radio analyst of football. By his Hall of Fame induction date in 2018, 30 years later, he is the undisputed authority of CFL football in Ottawa. Avery also has an extra job, as it were, although he doesn't get paid for it. He's gone the extra mile when it comes to giving back to the sport. He's been the president of the CFL Alumni Association for the past 16 years and is one of the founding members of the CFL Alumni Association and played a key role in setting up the CFL AA Support Fund, which offers financial support to alumni, families, and those close to the game experience financial hardship because of medical conditions or a sudden loss of income. Let's have a little look at Jeff Avery.
Football final, Saskatchewan versus Ottawa. The 1976 Grey Cup game.
More than 53,000 fans are in Exhibition Stadium today, the largest crowd ever to watch a Grey Cup game, a tribute to Canadian football.
Fans from all over Canada on hand, and this shows you the power of the Canadian football that it does to bring this country together.
All kinds of time for Clements. Finds Avery. Avery has a first down at the 39-yard line.
Number 18, Jeff Avery.
I would ask Chairman Dave Best to join me upstage to make the presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, your newest inductee into the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, Jeff Avery.
Obviously, a tremendous honor. You know, kid from the West End. How do you get here? Not 100% sure, but you certainly have a lot of people that help you get from A to B. From a kid who played soccer with a tennis ball with his buddies in DeRoy Kennedy Public School parking lot every day to standing here. In high school, I was a soccer player, and a bunch of us used to play touch football on the front lawn. We jokingly called it the Boys Football League, the BFL. And most of the guys were a little bit older than I was. Myself and my buddy Dave Casey got to play with them because, I don't know, they liked us, I guess, Case. And at that time, I was going from grade 12 to grade 13 as a soccer player, and Dave Casey asked me, you should come and play football with us at Woodruff High School. And so I made that adjustment, and then I found myself in the high school all-star camp the Riders used to put on, and Coach Don Gilbert from the University of Ottawa decided that I might be worthwhile to bring into Ottawa U, and there I met my now business partner Jim Colton, who was the quarterback with me for 4 years. And anybody who knows anything about football, as a receiver, you don't go anywhere unless you have a good quarterback, and obviously one who likes to get the ball to you. And so I have a great deal to thank those two gentlemen for getting me into the game of football. And you spend your time enjoying the sport, and time goes by, and then the sport's over. And I had another opportunity. Gentleman Dean Brown, we were having a couple of beers on the Hurley's rooftop down in the marketplace, and Dean's saying, yeah, you like to talk. We're looking for a color guy. So in 1989, I started with Dean doing the Rough Rider games, and then Dean moved on to obviously the Senators, and I had the pleasure of working with the voice, Dave Schreiber, for many years, and yeah, he is the one and only voice. And now I have the pleasure of working with a younger guy, A.J. Jakubek, he's different. A.J. will get upset about the officials. A.J. will get his point across. You occasionally have to grab him by the back of the neck and pull him back away from the microphone a bit, but he's great fun, and the road trips are something to behold. Really, I just thank my family and friends who are here, my sisters Judy, Debbie, and Catherine, and my partner Danielle, who supports me through all this stuff we do. And my parents, if they're alive, they would be just over the top thrilled about this event, and proud, obviously, of the family. I think perhaps they might be just as excited to meet Russ as they would be here to celebrate this on my behalf, because they were huge football fans, season ticket holders for years. Just to close, sport is a wonderful thing. Jimmy Colton and myself had the opportunity to coach football at Ashbury College, a private school. There's good athletes in every school, but this was a school made up of people from international community, ambassadors, kids who had never seen the game of football. And some, undersized kids who really very shy individuals, and the sport of football, when these kids came out, they became better people, they became more confident, they became thrilled at the idea of being part of a team. They would walk down the halls of their high school feeling pride, whereas before they didn't know the sport, didn't understand the sport, but they knew they were part of a team and they had buddies, and it made a huge difference. And we had the pleasure of seeing kids go through that school that went on to do great things, become lawyers, become doctors. There's really good group of individuals, but it's fun to see a kid from Southeast Asia who's never seen a football before. One of them turns into one of our running backs, and the other one turns into one of our defensive backs, and they had no fear. They just loved and became great little football players for us. The sport, to me, obviously it's given me a lot over the years, and so I just really have to thank the Ottawa Sport Hall of Fame, the individuals who nominated me. This is a huge, huge honor, and of course I'd like to congratulate the other four inductees this evening, and thank you all very, very much.
Got to tell you on a personal note, when it's your friends getting inducted, it makes this job great. Well, Avery should have brought a Sharpie there, Jeff. Our next inductee is Betty Shields in the Builders category. Betty Shields is synonymous with ringette in Canada. She was instrumental in Ringette's entry into the Canadian Winter Games. She coordinated the 82-83 revisions to the Ringette Canada Community Policy Manual and wrote the introductory handbook, Let's Play Ringette. It was Shields who established the Jean Sauvé Cup in 1985, presented to the champion of the National Ringette League, Canada's top women's competition. Her involvement with Ringette began, like many people, as a volunteer timekeeper for her daughter's games back in 1975. Later serving as a treasurer, a convener, and then the president of the Alta Vista Ringette Association. She was soon appointed the vice president of the Ontario Ringette Association, and 2 years later, she became the president of Ringette Canada. In 1987, she began the first president of the International Ringette Federation, and in 1990, she was the Canadian Sport Federation's Volunteer Administrator of the Year. Shields has been a keen proponent of the sport, and her efforts were awarded when she was inducted into the Ringette Canada Hall of Fame and was the recipient of the Canada 125 Medal in 1992. She has also been honored with the Agnes Jacks Award of Merit for outstanding contributions to international ringette back in 1994. Apart from sport, she was also the Ottawa Carleton Board of Trade Business Person of the Year. She is a co-recipient, along with her brother, of the Canadian Association of Movers Distinguished Service Award. Let's see a little more of Betty Shields. Dave Best could again join us on stage for the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, your newest member of the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, Betty Shields.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame for this great honor, and congratulations to my fellow inductees. Even being amongst you is an honor. And a special thanks to the gentlemen who nominated me, Doug McCrory, Dave Mainwood, Bill Hubbs, and Al Bateman. These are all soul builders, and no doubt you're going to hear these names in the future. And thank you for this opportunity to talk about one of the most unbelievable and rewarding times of my life, and at the same time talk about building a sport in Canada. Ringette is a made-in-Canada sport. There's no doubt where the first game was played, North Bay, or who invented it, Sam Jacks. But from there, many, many volunteers took it and made it an international sport, one arena, one community, one province, one country at a time. We had the vision, and we had the benefit of doors opening for girls and women in sport, some with a nudge and some with a healthy shove. And when you talk about a healthy shove, we have to talk Canada Winter Games. It took us 2 attempts to get in. The first time we got turned down because there were no hair dryers in the washroom, in the locker rooms. I did some numbers and I pushed back, and they agreed with me. They put 3 other female sports in. On the second attempt, we made it in. My journey incidentally started at the Walkley Arena which is now Jim Durrell Arena, and hit its pinnacle for me in Stockholm when Canada beat Finland in overtime. Because like our sister sport, we too have managed to create another country that challenges us. We have a tendency to teach too well. But the result's the same. Unlike hockey, finding enough countries that share our passion for ice and skates and sticks is always a challenge. History will record the milestones, but for me, one of the most interesting things about being inducted tonight was the opportunity to go back out and visit the National Capital Ringette League, where it all began. Well, we didn't call it that. It was the local league. But it's a thriving group. And not only were my 3 associations that initially were in there, 6 of the other remaining associations were places where my little group had gone out and done initial clinics way back when, introductory clinics. Many builders took that interest and created what it is today. But for me, I was very proud to have been part of that journey. And I know we're going to make the Olympics yet. So thank you to the many players, the many volunteers, some of whom are here tonight, people like Bernie Coburn, who we sat in my living room and he showed me how the game was played using cheesies. So we go back a long way, and thank you. And a special thanks to my family. They've helped, they've been pushed, they've had to do a lot, and I thank you very much.
Our third inductee tonight is Jim Kyte. At 6'5", 210 pounds at that time, he played 598 regular season NHL games across 13 seasons for 5 teams, accumulating 1,342 penalty minutes, and was regarded as one of the toughest players in the game. He was also the first, and to date, the only legally deaf player in National Hockey League history. Jim was the #1 overall pick in the Central Junior Hockey League in 1980 in the draft. The next year, he was the first-round draft pick for the OHL's Cornwall Royals. In 1982, he was selected in the first round of the NHL draft by the Winnipeg Jets. He played for the Jets for 7 seasons, and he would go on to play for the Penguins, Flames, Senators, and ended his career with the San Jose Sharks in 1996. Kyte has a 100 decibel hearing loss, which meant that he had to find ways to compensate for that within the game. From constantly counting the players in the offensive zone to using the plexiglass as a mirror to plan passes. Kyte had to invent a lot of tricks, and he was a master at adaptation and competition. Post-hockey, Kyte has become the co-founder of the Canadian Hearing Impaired Hockey Association, founder of the Jim Kyte Hockey School for the Hearing Impaired, and he entered the world of academia, where he is currently the Dean of the School of Hospitality at Algonquin College. Earlier this month, Jim was made the inaugural honorary colonel of the 76th Communications Regiment in the Royal Canadian Air Force. Here's a little sampling of Jim Kyte's work.
across the ice, shot, goal! Jim Kyte scores, and the Sharks get one back.
Jim made history by being the first legally deaf National Hockey League player, playing 598 games in the league. He now speaks to people about his story of adversity.
Now what am I going to do? I said, well, hockey is what I did. It's not who I am. So I had, if you can take that focus that you needed to have to become a professional athlete, you should be successful.
Once again, if Dave Best could join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, Jim Kyte.
There we go. Got a few concussions, so I need a few notes here. First off, I'm so happy this is going to be on Rogers because I'm going to be able to watch it later with closed captions to know what everybody said here. I really am having a hard time hearing. First of all, thank you very much to the selection committee for bestowing me this honor. I'm truly, truly honored to be here and to be going in with such a wonderful class. I can't thank you, the selection committee, enough. It's fitting for me to be here in the Horticulture Center in the shadow of the Civic Center because I grew up not far from here down the road, Bank and Kilbourne, Billings Bridge. Playing ball hockey on Blossom Drive to frozen feet at Alta Vista High School, or Alta Vista Public School, but playing keep away underneath the Bank Street Bridge on the canal for hours on end with friends and learning how to play hockey, and it's just wonderful, very, very fond memories. I also went, growing up, the NHL wasn't what I wanted to play for. That wasn't my aspiration. The NHL wasn't here. That was on TV. That was something in Mars. But going to see a live 67s game, hearing it, seeing it, feeling it, smelling it, that was very real to me. And that was my dream, to play for the 67s. Being a defenseman, I idolized guys like Denny Potvin and Doug Wilson, who are in this Hall of Fame. And also, I was a big fan, not surprisingly, of Eddie Boxcar Hospodar. If you're a 67s fan, you know that. But I attended Glebe High School for a year, and I'd have to walk home past the Civic Center, and I'd sneak in to watch the 67s practice. And I sat in the stands, hoping one day to be lucky enough to play for the 67s and have Brian Kilray scream at me in practice. Honestly. So playing in the NHL was never something that I envisioned. No one was more surprised than I was when I was rated in the first round of the National Hockey League. And I never envisioned going on the journey that I have. It's been absolutely wonderful. I just show up to work every day, to work as hard as I can and as smart as I can. And it's paid off so far. But you don't get to the highest level of sport, you don't get to be on this stage without a lot of help. And I have to thank a few people for getting me here. First off are my parents. I'm from a family of 5 boys and 1 girl. All 5 boys and my sister played hockey, played competitive hockey. So dinner went from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock every day during the hockey season. My dad was picking up kids, dropping off kids at the hockey rink. My mom had the kitchen going for dinner for each kid who came and went. And people think I'm tough. I'll tell you who's tough. My mother is here tonight. She is the toughest person that I've ever met. 6 kids in 8 years, no twins, and she's here this evening with 3 broken vertebrae in her spine. That's tough. Thanks, Mom. And I'd like to thank my siblings. Obviously very, very competitive. We used to fight a lot. We made each other stronger. But Dean mentioned we put the Jim Kite Hockey School on for the hearing impaired. My name was on it, but really, it was truly a family affair. My sister was the general manager. Everybody stopped their lives for 2 weeks to put the camp on. We had it on for 8 years, 2 years in Toronto, 3 years in Winnipeg, and 3 years here in Ottawa. So many kids who came out of that camp went on to play for Canada's Deaf Olympic team. So it's something that I'm very proud of, and so is my family. But I played with some pretty amazing players growing up here in Ottawa. In South Ottawa, we had Jeff Bave and Dean DeFazio, myself, and Dave Ellett. In Nepean, we had Doug Smith, Stevie Y, Steve Eisenman, Darren Pang, Dave Lowry, Doug Smith. In Ottawa West, we had Gary Galley. Gary Galley was inducted into this Hall of Fame a few years ago. He's here this evening. I want to thank Gary for coming. He has 125 people at his home right now. One of his youngest was graduating. He came here to be here this evening. He has a whole house full of people. Thank you very much, Gary. Appreciate it. But we had Charlie Henry, another inductee running East Ottawa. We had Pat Burns coaching across the river in Bantam and Midget over in Gatineau. And it was a kind of a golden age for me anyways to play against such players and to be coached by the coaches that I had. And just behind me we had Jeff Brown, Bruce Cassidy, Luke Richardson, Jeff Chikrin, Jason York, all guys who eventually, I hope, to see on this stage as well. Every one of those guys I mentioned played in the NHL, and they all came from Ottawa. And it doesn't happen without you. Each and every one of you, because I'm so happy Betty Builder coming in. The building category is so important. Leagues do not organize themselves. There's a whole army of volunteers to make that happen. And I would like to thank each and every sport volunteer, whether it's hockey, baseball, ringette, field hockey, for doing your job and paying it forward, because it wouldn't happen without you. Russ made a great speech, respect in sport, but sport is such a fundamental building block in children, in people, but particularly kids. Fair play, integrity. It's so important, and it doesn't happen without the volunteers like you. So thank you very much. There's one person I'd like to thank, and he's sitting in the back. He's always very unassuming, sitting in the back all the time. So the Memorial Cup was in Hull in 1982, my draft year. I did not have an agent going to the draft. I listened to all the pitches. My parents and I ate in every restaurant we ever wanted to in Ottawa. But we heard about this one guy named Larry Kelly. And we had to buy Larry Kelly lunch at Jimmy's restaurant here on Bank Street. He did not solicit. We bought him lunch. And that is the reason why I selected Larry as my agent. I was 18 years old. Larry, I just want to thank you very much for your integrity and your ethics and your guidance for all these years. So I played for 5 NHL teams. The team I've been playing for the last, over 17 years, 5 NHL teams in pro. For the last 17, 16 years, I've been playing with one team, and that's Algonquin College. Right? Every time my boss, Claude Brûlé, calls me, I'm wondering if I just got traded. It's the longest time I've ever played for one team. But I'm very proud of the work we do at Algonquin College. And I just want to say one thing about disability. I am orally deaf. I don't sign, but I read lips, and I need a lot of amplification, and I need help. But I hate the word disability. My dad, being hearing impaired himself, said you may have a handicap, but you don't have a disability. You should be able to do whatever you want. If you have to work hard, positive attitude, you persevere, and you do the best that you can. But the big thing is people are blinded by disability at times. That's a play in words there. People see somebody with hearing aids, see somebody in a wheelchair or crutches. There's a lot of invisible disabilities. I would hope that everybody looks past that, the false filter, and look at the abilities of people. Look at what people can bring to your table. Give them an opportunity. Nobody in this room is perfect. Everybody needs an opportunity. So I thank Algonquin College gave me an opportunity, and I seized that opportunity, and I thank God every day that I work there because I love going to work there. But everybody needs an opportunity. So I encourage the leaders in this room to provide opportunities for others. So thank you very much, and I'm very, very honored to be here this evening.
Our fourth inductee. I would like to call up Al Sharon to come up and help make this presentation. Is Al still here? Imagine I had a hard time spotting him. Our fourth inductee tonight is Steve Gray. A rugby icon, Steve has amassed 47 international caps, having represented Canada in 3 Rugby World Cups in '87, '91, and '95. The inaugural Rugby Sevens World Cup in 1993. Gray started his career at Canterbury High School, then his playing club of the Beavers and the Ottawa Irish. In '82, he was selected for the first ever Canada U19 team, and in 1984, he was part of the Canadian team that defeated the then world champion Australian team at the Hong Kong Sevens. Later that year, he earned his first of 47 men's 15s caps. Gray captained the national sevens to a memorable win over the famous New Zealand All Blacks. During the '87 Rugby World Cup, Gray set a Canadian record for most tries in a single game at 3. He was a regular member of the Canadian national men's team for 10 years, with many memorable victories, defeating France in Ottawa, England at Swangard Stadium in Burnaby, double wins over Argentina, beating Scotland, and probably the biggest of them all, defeating Wales on their home turf in Cardiff. In recognition for his achievements, Gray was inducted into the Canterbury High School Athletic Wall of Fame and also the Rugby Ontario Hall of Fame. Let's see a little bit of Steve Gray.
Ennis in the back row. Good run, down the centre. There's the first strike coming up. No. Fine tackle there on Steve Gray.
Disastrous moments for South Africa. And that is surely going to affect them later in the tournament. It's a good tap back by Glenn Ennis, and Graf gets it away. Coming into the line, Steve Gray. Graf, Alcharon, Stewart, and that's good work by Gray.
By Gordon McKinnon. It's there for Stewart. The halfback Spears is there. Now here's Gray. There's a big collision here. Look at this bump, but he managed to stay on his feet.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, Steve Gray.
Like Jimmy, I needed some notes, and isn't this a sign of the times right here? First of all, I want to thank the board of directors for this tremendous honor. It means more than I can put into words. It's just something special, and to come home in this manner is over the top. It's funny, when Dave called me to tell me I was being inducted, I was clearly thrilled, but I was always doubly excited to learn that some of the inductees that I was with, amazing company. I love watching Jeff Avery, the Riders. I was a huge fan back in the day. I had the distinct pleasure of spending some time with Betty earlier on today. Magnificent lady. Yes. And my former mayor. I mean, wow, what are the chances? And the last time I had any interaction with Jimmy Kyte was his first-year midget, when he had abandoned the South Ottawa hockey organization and defected to East Ottawa. It was his first-year midget and my second. And I got to tell you, having Jimmy Kyte chase you around the ice is not a fun experience. And yes, so on that note, yes, I did play hockey. In fact, I think between Al and I think we're the only rugby nominees. I think I'm the only guy to have also played for the Senators, the junior Senators, but the Senators nonetheless. I'd just like to thank a few people, and bear with me. I know my parents would have loved to have been here. They supported me in, thank you. Thanks very much. They supported me in every facet of my life, and seeing me come home for this occasion would have thrilled them, especially given my father's ties to so many inductees. You know, he had contacts through playing, coaching, friendships, and my mom always said that she thought that she felt that I should have been in the hall, but she was my mom. So my mom is represented here this evening by my date, and I want to thank her for being here. My mom's youngest sister, Beth, and my aunt. My cousin Leslie, who is Ottawa Tourism's best kept secret, is also here. Thank you for being here, Leslie. My wife, who basically picked up the torch after my mom passed away and nominated me. I wish she could be here. She wishes she could be here, but our daughters are fresh home from university right now, and she's getting them all sorted out at home. Obviously, my daughters would have loved to have been here too, but you can imagine how thrilled they are to listen about Dad talk about rugby. I would never have started on this journey, and it really needs to be said. I wish he was here, and if he is here, please stand up. I would never have started on this journey were it not for my first coach, Art McNaughton, at Canterbury. Art introduced me to the sport and his club affiliation, the Ottawa Beavers. He's one of those guys that just, the passion just leaks out of his pores, and it's infectious. And I caught the bug, and I owe a lot for him to, putting me on that path. The Ottawa Beavers, I owe a lot to. My first club, they taught me how to truly appreciate the sport. The sport and the people that are, involved with it. It's a unique sport. It's a unique community, and the Beavers taught me how to really appreciate that. There's people that I just like to quickly mention: John Platts from the Beavers, Ed Mitchell, and perhaps more than anybody else, Tom Jones, who's here tonight. These guys set me up for success with the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union, aka Ottawa, and the Ontario teams. Tom even orchestrated my season abroad, setting up a season for me to play in London with Blackheath, which proved to be an invaluable experience and something that was it was just a life-changing experience for me. The other guy that I really need to mention, also worked with Tom in the national office at the time, John Billingsley. John Billingsley, originally from out west, but out here and worked in the national office. Thank you. Yeah. Between Tom and John, mentorship was invaluable. We played together, but they also directed me. When I needed to make decisions, they helped me with that as well. So I really owe a lot to both those guys. I made a move to the Ottawa Irish Club. They were, at the time, without a doubt, the best coach club and really, really organized. Just like the Beavers, another great group of guys. But the thing about the Irish is they taught me the value of discipline, hard work, and just what that can produce on the field. And it shows in the record that the Ottawa Irish have. I'm going to borrow the words of a good friend, perhaps you know him, Al Sharon, in saying that individual awards for our sport goes against everything that makes it great. Rugby is a true team sport that requires every player on the field to work cohesively together to achieve any measure of success. To recognize one player, it's kind of tough to do. But that being said, I'm truly grateful for all the amazing teammates and coaches that I've had the pleasure of working with over the years. I share this recognition with all of you. This sport that has given me so much over the years has just given me one more pretty special moment. Thanks, Mom and Dad, and thank you for your patience. Have a good night.
And our final inductee tonight, we really appreciate the fact that our current mayor, Jim Watson, was here earlier on. But I have to be honest, this is my favorite mayor of all time. James Durrell. Jim served as mayor of Ottawa from 1985 to 1991 and will always be known as the sports mayor. He was instrumental in helping secure the return of Ottawa Senators hockey in 1990, bringing the CFL's Grey Cup to Ottawa in 1988, championing the return of professional baseball, and chairing the 2017 Grey Cup celebration in Ottawa. Following helping Ottawa secure an NHL franchise in 1990 and while still mayor, he was also named the president of the Ottawa Senators. Of course, he had to resign being mayor because that was a bigger job, but he did it. Apart from hockey, Durrell helped secure the CFL's 1988 Grey Cup, and when the Ottawa Rough Riders needed financial assistance, Durrell was at the forefront to obtain tax grants to keep the team alive and in the city. And due to his insistence, AAA baseball came to Ottawa. The Ottawa Lynx played in a brand new 10,000-seat stadium, which they regularly sold out in their first 2 seasons. Apart from sports, Jim also was extremely active, obviously, on the business front, being of many professional boards and being on them, actively supporting countless charities, which he still does to this day. In 2013, he received the first ever Ottawa Chamber of Commerce Lifetime Achievement Award and was awarded both the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal and the Order of Ottawa. The Jim Durrell Recreation Centre on Walkley Road is named obviously in his honor, and during his tenure as mayor, Durrell constantly insisted a vibrant sports community was an integral part of a healthy and balanced city. We all now reap those rewards. A little something on Jim Durrell.
Yeah, as I always said, leadership is a team sport, and we had a great team. Risk is not recklessness. And there's a profound difference between the two. Each one of you has great strengths. that the world should be a better place because you live here. Some walls are too high to climb. We all can't do great things in life, but we can all do small things with great love and passion. Many years from now, you'll look back, having made the world a better place, having built your legacy, not on one big act, but a whole series of different acts, and you'll be able to look back and say, wow, what a ride.
I would like to invite up to the stage retired Ottawa Police Superintendent Mike Flanagan to make the presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, your newest member of the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, Jim Durrell.
Well, it's been an exciting day and a wonderful night, and I would be remiss if I didn't start off by paying special thanks to you, Russ. And I know you kicked the evening off, and it was a long time ago, but you were an outstanding football player, obviously a very great educator, a great Canadian. You have the Order of Canada, and your message, I think, was profound for all of us. And I thank you. Sam and I have been coming to this event, probably, I bet we've been here over 20 times. And I never, ever fail to leave it. And on our way home, my sweetheart and I often talk about it. The incredible men and women who have built this city. And tonight you saw 4 other people up here, all of whom, 3 of them were great athletes, outstanding athletes. And Betty, who was a trailblazer, not only for women, but in the sport of ringette. And what I loved always, not only just about our 4 previous inductees, but about the nights that I've attended, is hockey and football are the big sexy sports. They get a lot of attention. But when you attend this event year in and year out, you see a depth and breadth of sport in this city that's unbelievable. And the nicest thing is that all the people who come up here have made the city a better place. And I think that's, it speaks volumes to sport. I said to Ken Warren in an interview yesterday that the moniker that I was given way back in the 80s of being the sports mayor, back then it was used rather derisively. It was a moniker that I cherished and I frankly wore very proudly. Because sport, and Russ alluded to this a bit, and I think Jim did as well, sport doesn't care about your color. It doesn't care about whether you're rich or poor. Everybody has the same chance. And based on your abilities, you have the ability to rise to certain levels. Jeff, Jim, and Steve rose to the very pinnacle of their sports. But tens of thousands of others played their sport and played it well, learned competitiveness, learned respect that Russ talked about, learned teamwork, learned the glory of winning, and learned the agony of defeat. And that's what sport does. I've often alluded, and I'll finish, that great cities I often compare to a chair. Strange thing, but chairs, great chairs have 4 solid legs. And you cannot be a great city unless you have the 4 legs, which are education, and we're blessed with 2 great colleges and universities in this city. A good, strong economic base. And we're blessed to be the capital of Canada and obviously have a very strong public service that feeds and helps us grow as a community. The third area is sports and culture. And that probably, to me, is one of the areas that is so very, very important. It's the one that's most often forgotten, but it's an area that is absolutely critical in growth, and you cannot possibly develop a great city unless you have a great sports center. Think of the heroes that we have growing up. When we were kids, we looked at Russ. We looked at Stewie. We looked at Whit. Kids looked at Jeff, and they looked at Jim in hockey. And today we can look at Henry Burris, and today we can look at Alfie and Chris Neal, Chris Phillips, and so many others that we're able to build on that. And those are the exciting parts of it. And the fourth chair, of course, is healthcare. You can't have a great city without that. So I'm very, very proud to have carried the moniker of sport mayor, and I'm very proud to be inducted here tonight, and particularly with Steve, with Jim, with Jeff, and with Betty. You've honored our family. I thank you.
If we can get all of our inductees to come up, we're going to get pictures taken. So if you'd like to get some pictures of all of our inductees, so Jeff, Steve, Shirley, everybody, if you can get to Jimmy, if you can get to come back up and join Jim up here for some pictures. Also, anything you want to say? Hold on. Dave's got stuff to say.
Sorry, we had one more message tonight as well. Someone who's really helped out the hall the last few years with little fanfare and all that. We say thank you and all that. It's not quite enough. We understand Dean, however, likes rugby, and Al happens to be involved with Rugby Canada, so we have a Rugby Canada jersey. Dean, it's a small way to say thank you, but thank you.
Wow, I can tell you one thing, guys, as shitty as me never get these, so this is fantastic. Anyway, if we can get all the inductees up here, that would be fantastic for a picture. And that will give me time to remind you, we want to thank our sponsors, Algonquin College, Trinity Development Group, Rideau Carleton Raceway Casino, Star Motors, Tamarack, Welsh LLP, Big Rig Brewery, and the Ottawa Senators. Feel free to come up and take your own pictures of the inductees, mingle, meet, and we hope to see you back here again next year. Hope you enjoyed everything, everybody. Thank you very much.